Hi everybody, welcome to today's webinar. This is the first one of a coming series as we will try to do those regularly. My name is Sophie, I'm your host today. If you encounter any issue or have any question, you can just use the chat window to reach me. Our presenter today is Simon Baum, Head of Professional Services at Centreon. Simon is going to tell you all about the Centreon Plugins project on GitHub and why you should absolutely join us. Over to you, Simon.
Thank you, Sophie. Hi, everybody. Welcome to this webinar. Let's discover Centreon plugins and why these little scripts are or should be the heart of your monitoring system, no matter which Nagios fork you are using. Let's quickly introduce myself. I'm an open source lover. I work at Centreon since 6 years, designing, deploying, upgrading Centreon platforms, and of course, coding plugins. I recently took the lead of the Centreon expert team. More personally speaking, I'm clearly from the dog team. I like cats, but I prefer dogs, and I like sports, but I'm better at beers. So let me explain why with some real life situation, why we have decided to create a Centreon plugins library. First, it's repositories. A lot of repositories. Not just plugins is still, unfortunately, it's still the buzzword to find a plugin with a standard, not just like output. As you can see, GitHub is full of plugins, a lot of repositories, but most of the time you need to clone a huge number of repositories in order to monitor all your devices, sensors, or apps. Nagios Exchange is rather a cemetery than a reliable source of plugins, mainly because all plugins from Nagios now directly go to the locked Nagios XI offer. But if you're still on Nagios, you can use Centreon plugins. As an open source monitoring solution, that was not an option for us to get plugins from different repositories in different programming languages. We really wanted to be able to grab all our monitoring plugins from one place. So now let's talk about code and guidelines perspectives. There is a lot of plugins, but very few are really following the monitoring plugin development guidelines, and clearly this is a mess. So if we talk about output, it should be short and clear. Short output should only present the relevant information about status and problems. Other very detailed information have to be visible in the long output or in your performance data. Speaking about performance data, we can speak also about units. It's always different from one plugin to another. Sometimes percent, sometimes bytes or gigabytes, sometimes the unity of measure is specified sometimes it is not. So as a consequence, it might be a pain to forward and enrich your data in third-party tools like Enflux or Elastic. Regarding options, a complete help is just the basis of onboarding for your plugins. It's very frustrating to have to read the code to understand how a plugin works. Then options needs to be self-explanatory and focus on the own purpose. A filter option and capabilities must be the same if I'm monitoring Linux or Windows storages, for example. Also, timeout. Timeout are really important and has to be smart. This way, you do not get any false positive and avoid performance issues. Programming languages is also a point about performances. When a bash plugin called system command like snmpwall can parse the result with awk or sed, well, please stop doing this, please. I'm feeling like this little girl when I'm seeing such plugins. So monitoring is our job. Providing an easy way to execute plugins is a duty for us, and that's why Centreon Plugins aims to be the framework that everybody uses and contributes to. Code execution should be optimized and the source should be as light as possible. This is a real challenge because we also want to keep it simple and most of all, a flexible connector between you and your IT infrastructure and apps. So now let's introduce the star of today, Centreon Plugins project, an open source project started in 2014, written in Perl. More than 40 code contributors, more than 200 active users on issues, and we hope tomorrow you all. So this is the root of the Centreon Enterprise Plugin Pack product, but 100% free software philosophy. So the cool thing is that all the new plugins are pushed to the public repositories. There is no hidden code that you cannot use, fork, or enhance. We share everything with the community, and every of our customer and community members are sharing the same code and possibilities. Using and testing it is pretty straightforward. Just git clone or GitHub repository. We will see this during the demonstration. So our goal is to provide a monitoring as complete as possible and as efficient as possible. Thanks to our community and sponsor, we have achieved a lot of work and now cover the standard, but also some exotic hardware and apps. Today, we work a lot on the cloud part. We're releasing Cloud Foundry this week and Microsoft Azure in the near future. So regarding Centreon Plugins code, it's really safe Panda, writeless code. I will not go so deep in the code during this presentation because it will deserve a webinar on its own. I'll try to just give you an overview of our coding philosophy. So first, it's an object-oriented programming philosophy. A mod is able to use methods from our complete toolkit class. So each Perl module representing a core function of a mod, output, performance data, or options, and so on. Also, we factorize code. So we do not want to write code twice, less lines to patch when spotting this Starklight bug. Believe me, for sure that will happen. A coding base for Cisco, a coding base for your HTTP call, HTTP API monitoring, or PowerShell execution are few examples of it. Also, as introduced in this slide, we save code by templating it and easily monitor counters like metrics, hardware status. One more level of abstractions, also of complexity, it's true, but we save code, time, and pandas. So now let's talk about performances. The idea of Centreon Plugins is to do one thing and do it right. So the Centreon Plugins architecture allows us to save a lot of time in the execution of the checks. That's important that it's really the health of your monitoring strategy. And whatever the scheduler you are using, it says thank you. Here, you can see the impact of replacing a very standard, not bad, plugin, guessing which device he is checking with the Centreon plugins. There is a huge drop in the resource consumption. As a reminder, generally a plugin is dumb. Not necessarily the one who writes it, but he should really focus on metrics and status gathering, not doing the job of your discovery tool. Another point about performances is that you can fatpack all of our plugins. So that saves you a lot of time of finding and installing dependencies again and again. You're using only what is needed for your code to execute, and that is a good point for your monitoring server resources. So for Centreon open source user, it's all in the box and repositories within the Centreon plugins packages. Used with Perl connector, you can save and reduce by 50% CPU usage. And speaking about value which fall, you can then keep your computing resources to mine Bitcoin or Ripple. So Now let's see how to start with Centreon Plugins through the TTY with the live demo. I don't really have prepared demo, so actually that could go wrong. Let me grab a TTY. Okay, so as I said in the slide, getting Centreon plugins is as simple as cloning our repository. Okay, here's my Git repository. I can see the various directory concerning apps, cloud, database, hardware, network, and so on. So it's cool. I have my Centreon plugin.pl executable. I want to know which plugin I can use. I just have to execute this script with the list plugin option. There are a lot of plugins. Let's say I want to monitor, I don't know, Polycom RMX equipment devices to monitor my VoIP infrastructure. So just have to grep on Polycom. Let's see if it exists. Okay, great. So now I just had to specify this plugin. Oh, he asked me to specify a mod. Okay, so I will list the available mods. See that I can check CPU detailed, hardware load or memory, and also video conferencing usage. So that is the different metrics and status I can gather through these plugins. Okay, I want to use the CPU detailed one. Okay, I need another parameter, how I can know which parameter I should pass to this mod, just using the help. Remind you that it's really important. So here I can see really the option dedicated to the mod, and as I'm checking this equipment through SNMP, I can see that I need to specify a host name, an SNMP community, an SNMP version. So now let's start with hostname, SNMP community, and I just specify a specific SNMP port as it's a SNMP simulator behind this. Okay, hope the community is the right one. Doesn't like to be the right one. Go wrong. So we'll check this quickly. Okay, so where is this? Okay, great. I have the right community now. Let's change it. Buffer creation. Okay, I'm monitoring CPUs. That's counters. I need to execute it once again. Okay, counter just not move. Not bad. I will use the hardware one. Okay, hardware is working. I see that I have 3 components, 1 board, 1 fans, 1 PSU. Very interesting option in Centreon plugins. So all plugins works with verbose option. You have also the possibility to overload some threshold. So here everything is okay, but if for any reason I want to bypass an error, I can use this option. So just saying that board is critical when the state of the board is okay. And okay, I just see my critical board status is okay. So every plugin works the same way. For example, just show you to finish the Linux one. So I can also call mods like this. Okay. Let's check on localhost, it will be easier. Okay, so I see all my storages are okay. This is another plugin, but I can use the same option. And here I have a lot of possibility about, your performance data. If you want to exclude the unity of measures, if you want to filter some perf data, of course, regarding the disk, you can use regex to filter your storages. You can also use a free option to set threshold on free space left. All this is available in all storages plugins, whatever you are monitoring, Linux, Windows, storage, specific storage, and so on. It's okay for me about the demonstration. So get back on the slide for the Q&A.
Thank you, Simon, for this great presentation. I actually received a few questions while you were speaking. The first question, I can answer it myself. It's to know if this session is recorded. Yes, it is recorded. We will be sending you an email with the link to view the video, and we'll publish it on our social media as well. You have some information on your screen about how to keep the discussion with us. You can either join our Slack or follow us on Twitter. And of course, we're more than happy to invite you to follow the project on GitHub. Next question. In 2016, when I used Perl connector, I had bad performances with Centreon plugins. Now it's corrected. So can we use Perl connector with Centreon plugins? I'm sorry, I'm gonna read it again. So in 2016, when I used Perl connector, I had bad performances with Centreon plugins. Now it's corrected. So can we use Perl connector with Centreon plugins?
Yes, actually, but as a prerequisite, you need absolutely to fatpack your plugins. If you do not fatpack your plugins, you will not have the benefits of using the connector.
Thank you. Thank you, Simon, for your answer. So while other people are typing in their question, I think it's time for a quick poll to see who is online. We'd like to know if you're using any Centreon plugin at the moment. So here will be the poll. You have a few seconds to answer it. Okay, let's see. So yes, all of the people who answered are actually using some Centreon plugins. Now let's see if any of you ever created a plugin. So we'll give some more seconds for everybody to vote. Okay, let's see. So 60% no, are just using the plugins when 40 already joined the project or created their own plugins. That's interesting. Now, back to some questions from our attendees. I think you got a fan. How can I help contributing to the project?
So you don't need to necessarily develop plugins to help us to develop Centreon plugins. Actually, you can just open issues, ask for enhancement, give us feedbacks. When you are on GitHub, there is the issue template. So when we need to develop new plugins, it's always easier when we have, some SNMP work, API answer examples. So really to contribute, you can open issues, provide us some sample data, and this is a real help for us in the project.
Thank you. Is there a public roadmap about new plugins to come?
We're trying to build one. Today there is not, because some of the time, some of the work is done on our spare time, and actually, really, we are trying to develop a lot around cloud. So Microsoft Azure is coming soon, but we do not have any hint on the next plugin, actually.
Thank you. Actually, I'm gonna ask you guys a question about which plugins you would be interested in. So you can either use the chat or the question panel to let us know. We would be very interested to understand what would be your needs and how we can build a new project together. So I leave you a few seconds to answer. Okay, so thank you for those people who answered, and there seems to be a kind of agreement with most of the people who'd like a Microsoft Azure plugin. So I believe it's already in the works, Simon. I'm sorry, I think your microphone bugged. So the answer was yes. So that's good to know. And sorry, what can I monitor on the Amazon infrastructure?
Today with Amazon, we can monitor the main services, Amazon services. I mean your EC2, the computing service of Amazon, the ELB, the load balancing service from Amazon, also your Lambda function if you use Lambda. Everything on Amazon is about the CloudWatch metrics. You can see when you can use when you are in your CloudWatch console or AWS administration console. So you can monitor probably every CloudWatch metrics with Centreon plugins.
Thank you, Simon. At the moment, I don't have any more questions from our audience. So I'd like to remind you that You can continue this discussion on our Slack dedicated to our community, centreon.slack.com, and there is a dedicated channel about all those plugin projects, which is Centreon Plugins. Thank you very much for your attendance today. It was great launching this webinar project with all of you, and we hope to get in touch very soon for another webinar. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.